guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new here. Today's video is going to be reading April new releases. It is probably the most jam-packed month of book releases for the whole year, and it is more specifically jam-packed with romance releases. So many new books from so many authors that I love. So I'm so excited to read those books with you guys, share my thoughts in this spoiler-free reading vlog. So I have 4 books in mind that I'm gonna include in this video. I think this will be part 1 of the video because the first 2 books, one is already out and one is coming out within like the next couple of days, but the other 2 books I won't be able to get my hands on until closer to the end of the month. So I'll probably do this whole idea in kind of like a 2-part series. So the 2 books that I will be reading in the next video, part 2, is Funny Story by Emily Henry and Taming Seven by Chloe Walsh. And that video is gonna be kind of fun because I love the series Boys of Tommen, which is what Taming Seven is part of, but I am not the biggest fan of Emily Henry, so I feel like it'll be a little bit of high and lows in that video. So stay tuned for that. But now for this video, the first book I will be reading is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I really love Abby Jimenez's writing, and I feel like she is probably one of the top 3, top 5 popular romance authors at the moment. This is her new release of the year. I feel like it's gonna be great for summer, great for beach reading. Of course, I'm not reading it quite in summer, I'm reading it in spring, but I think I will have so much fun with it nonetheless. I read Part of Your World and Friendzone by her, and I loved Friendzone and I liked Part of Your World. So overall, I like her books. I'm excited to get into this, and I will be reading this one probably starting later today. The other book I will be reading in this video is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. So I'm just gonna double check that that's the name. So yes, Wild Love is correct, but I haven't received that one in the mail yet. I don't think it even comes out until maybe tomorrow. So this is a spin-off to the Chestnut Springs series, which I read the entire series. I loved some of the books. I didn't love some of the others, and I didn't know if I was gonna read this new spin-off series, but then my sister told me that all of the books in this series are going to be about like single dad, like single parent romances. So maybe not dad, but like single parent trope. And that is one of my favorite tropes of all time. The book with the single parent trope in the Chestnut Springs series was Heartless, and that was my favorite book in the whole series. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh yes, I am so in, because there was aspects of Chestnut Springs that I did like, especially with that trope. So I am so excited to see how I feel on that book too. So back to Just for the Summer, I plan on starting this tonight. I have 100 pages left in another book, so I'm going to finish that and then probably end up starting this one later on tonight. I don't think I'll get too far into it because I've been reading the other book for quite a while, so I might get a little bit tired of reading, but I'll probably start this one tonight and I will let you guys know when I have some thoughts. Like I said, I'm super excited. I also don't really know what this one is about, so I'm gonna like read a little, read the description, all of that, and then give you guys a little synopsis, like a little bit of what it's about, because that will be good to know. I'm currently 50 pages into this. So far, I'm really liking it. I, of course, can't say much else. There's not too much else to say. I've just only read 50 pages, but I am really liking it. And the first thing I want to say is that Abby Jimenez included a little like disclaimer at the beginning, pretty much saying to like check the trigger warnings. Let me read it to you. She said, "While my books are all rom-coms, some themes in this story may be triggering for some readers." And then she includes all of the trigger warnings, some of which are PTSD, depression, panic attacks, anxiety, depictions of undiagnosed mental health issues, past child neglect, etc. And I've also seen people like crying about this book on TikTok and like already making reviews because they finished it and they said they were expecting like a light fluffy rom-com, and that is not what they got. So that actually makes me kind of excited because I like a deeper, more emotional romance. Like I like a little bit of a gritty romance, one that'll make me cry more than one that will make me laugh, but I have a feeling that this could make me do both, so it might be like perfection for me. So I'm super excited. Also, I have figured out the gist of the story. So pretty much our 2 main characters, Justin and Emma, they both have this like curse, they call it. Whoever they date kind of seriously for like a month or a few dates and they actually are kind of into it, that person ends up breaking up with them and then finding their soulmate. So it's like a curse that everyone they date ends up finding the one like right after them. And they are in the process of trying to figure out how to break the curse together for themselves by dating each other and hopefully when they break up, they will both find their soulmates. So that is what is currently being set up. That's also not a spoiler. It is right on the back, and you'll find that out within the first 20 pages. And I feel like it's going to be a setup for a fun, good story. I'm liking the direction it's going in, and I can't wait to read more. I am currently going to go watch the March Madness Championship game, so I probably won't be reading too much more tonight. Maybe a little bit during like halftime or breaks or something. But yeah, that is where I'm at currently, and I'm liking it so far. Okay, it is now several hours later from that clip you just saw. That was me at like 6:30 this morning. Now it is like 3:30 in the afternoon, and I have pretty much wrapped up work for the day. I may do a little bit more, but mainly for the rest of the night, I plan on reading this book. I'll probably like get a good chunk into it. I'm on page 130 already, and it's like a 400-page book, so I probably won't be able to finish it, but I think I'll get a good chunk in because I have a pretty free night and all I'm going to be doing is pretty much reading. I do think I'm going to go on a run in a little bit because it is gorgeous weather out. Yesterday and today are like those first spring days where it's warm out. It's like 60 degrees and it just feels like summer is right around the corner. I'm pretty sure it's going to rain the next several days, so I am going to take advantage of the weather right now and go for a run, get out there. I'm just like craving it, and I haven't gone on a run in a while, so we'll see how it goes. But the other thing that the weather is perfect for is this book, because clearly it's a summer book. It's called Just for the Summer, and the vibes in here are like lake, summer, lobster, barbecue, like all of that stuff. And it's just all the good vibes, perfect for this weather, like I said. And I am still loving the book. I think the thing I'm taking away the most, because the love hasn't really gotten going, like the romance is pretty much in the beginning stage, so that's really not where the action is happening yet. But what I'm taking away is that Abby Jimenez makes her books very like fast-paced and like a lot of plot and a lot of like entertaining conversation, and just a lot is going on. I'm never bored, which is like my #1 thing I look for in a book. Like if I'm bored in a book, it probably will not be a 4-star for me. That's just like my #1 killer when it comes to reading. So I haven't been bored once. I've been very interested in the story. It's fast moving. There's lots of interesting characters with interesting history. And yeah, Abby Jimenez makes it pretty fast. Like I just read a very slow paced romance book. It was lots of like inner monologue and like descriptions of that monologue and descriptions of like the outside world and like scenery and environment, and it was just like too much, very slow, where this is like the opposite. It's very only the important interesting things like in their head, and then just a lot of conversations with friends and coworkers and bosses and between each other in the central romance. And so far so good. I am moving through it pretty fast, and I can't wait to get more into it tonight and maybe give you guys another update, see how I go. Okay, we have no real reading updates, but since I last talked to you, I successfully went for a run, which I was very happy about. I tried to read this outside, but it was a little too cold for that to get too much reading done. But the most important thing, or the most exciting thing, is that I got the next book for this video in the mail, which is A Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I think maybe it was like literally released today because I had it pre-ordered on Amazon, which means I can get right into this after I finish Just for the Summer if I want. I may need a little bit of a break. But yeah, that is very exciting. Brought her lunch at the hospital. My heart. I'm like 3/4 of the way through this book, page 276, and I just realized that Neil from Part of Your World, if you remember him, he's like the toxic ex-fiance, ex-boyfriend. He is a major character in this book, like not like super main character, but like a secondary main character, and I just put it together. The name must have completely left my mind because both of their names are Neil and I didn't put it together. So feeling very silly, but That's cool. I did see a little interview where Abby Jimenez said, or a TikTok of hers, where she said that she likes to put Easter eggs from her previous books into her newer books. So that's kind of cool. Okay, this book is actually taking quite the dramatic, kind of dark turn. It just kind of got a little twisty, I would say. It has me hooked. I have just about 50 pages left. It's like 9:30. So I think I'm gonna finish this. I usually try to go to bed by 10, but I think I can still be in bed by 10:30 and finish this. So that is what I'm going to do. Also, definitely read Part of Your World before this book. Definitely, because it is not just that connection that I made in my previous clip. There is definitely more connecting the two books. You probably could get away with not reading it, but I think you probably should. It is the next day. The whole day has gone by. It's now nighttime, and you saw that I finished Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez last night, and it was just too late for me to talk about it, so I decided to go to bed and I would do it today. So here I am. I really loved this book. I haven't like settled on a final rating, but so far in my mind it's giving 4.5 star, which is really good for me. I loved it the entire way through. I was so entertained. It was fast-paced. I thought there was good banter. I loved the flirting. I loved the side characters. Like, it was just all perfect. And I feel like I can really appreciate that Abby Jimenez is a good writer to be able to make me feel that way. Like, the way she writes her books, I just appreciate it. Like, they're very entertaining. I'm not bored. So that is my like first win for this book. Both of the main characters, Emma and Justin, also had their own problems and issues they were working through the entire book. They had like an emotional depth. They had like well-developed, just like they were well-developed characters, which I appreciate. And again, it made me just enjoy this book the entire time. My number one takeaway from their romance, from their love story, is that it was so real. It seemed very healthy to me. I think in a lot of books, sometimes the couples end up together even though you know that they shouldn't, or that they're not ready to be in a relationship. You know, just all these outside factors, like sometimes they're just brushed aside. Like, there is a conflict, but then it gets resolved and the couple ends up together, and the characters push through for a happy ending even if it wasn't realistic. And what I loved about this book is that it showed such a realistic way for a couple to like find themselves, find each other. It seemed really healthy. The characters went through their own healing and like they dealt with the issues that were talked throughout the entire book. I feel like a lot of times in books, issues are talked about, but then they're not really talked about in depth, how the characters work through those issues and move past those issues. So I really loved that part of this love story. Like, it seemed so real, so healthy. I don't know, I've just kind of never read a book with a story that followed this exact path and journey. Justin was also such an amazing MMC. They even say it in the book, but he really is a prime example of if he wanted to, he would. He is like so sweet and loving, and he makes his intentions with Emma crystal clear throughout the entire book, which is again refreshing to read about. Although I'm like a sucker for an enemies to lovers or a rivals to lovers, or just, you know, like don't like each other to lovers, it was nice to have some straightforwardness. This romance also wasn't like super spicy or super like flirty butterflies. Like, it didn't make me giddy or like anything like that. I just was kind of like enjoying them getting to know each other the whole time, them being good people, them loving each other. I think it was like a good portrayal of like what I find to be most important about love. There was a quote at the end of this book that like solidified it being a 4.5 star book for me, because it just kind of like spoke directly to me. I'll tell you guys what page it's on, because maybe if you guys read this book, you can see the quote. It's like a big paragraph on the page. It was page 392, and I was just like, yes, that is what I think love is. It was kind of about all those little things, like acts of service, that make up a good, healthy love. Okay, so I feel like I've rambled enough about this book. I really loved it. It will be such a great summer read. It did have a little bit of drama and depth, and like I said, it got a little crazy at the end there, and also it was so readable. Like, I read the majority of this book yesterday, so highly, highly recommend. Now, Wild Love is gonna be the next book I read, but I don't know like when exactly I'm going to get to this. My boyfriend is currently on the way over, so he'll be here for a few hours tonight, which means I probably won't read. Like, I could get a little bit into this, maybe 50 pages or so. And then tomorrow I have a pretty busy day with work, and I'm getting my nails done, so I probably won't see you guys again or even be able to read again until this time tomorrow. But this will be the next book I start when I get to reading. hello, it is the next day. Like I predicted, I'm checking in like 24 hours later. So it's, what time is it? It is almost 6:30, and I actually did have some time to read this, as you saw in some clips earlier. I had some time before my nail appointment, and then I read some after, and I got to page 102. So I would say I'm like a decent chunk into this book. Also, I didn't realize, but my nails kind of match the book, which is kind of slay. So yeah, I was able to read some of this today, and so far I am really liking it. Like, all I can say is that it's good vibes, because I am 100 pages in, but they are kind of like short pages with big font, so like not that much has happened, but I can tell that I think I'm going to like it. Like you know how you can tell? I can just tell that this one should be a good one. I'm hoping, because like I said, Elsie Silver is sometimes hit or miss for me, but this is giving me the energy that I will like it. I don't know if I've talked about what this book is about yet, but it follows the brother of Willa, who is the main girl in Heartless, which is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series. The brother's name is Ford, and he is a billionaire. He actually just won the award of like hottest billionaire for Forbes. And he's a billionaire because he made this like massive music streaming platform. And pretty much he kind of got tired of that and wanted a new project in life. So he moved to Rose Hill, which he summered in Rose Hill as a kid. And he moved back to that small town to start a record label, I think, where he's gonna like help up and coming artists. And then his best friend, what's his name? West, I think is his name. They were best friends throughout the summers when they were there through their childhood. And then the female love interest is West's little sister, and her name is Rosie, and she is back in Rose Hill because she's having a hard time in her life in the city in Vancouver. Just things aren't going her way, so she decided to go home and spend some time there. So they are both in Rose Hill at the same time. And we are already also introduced to Ford's daughter, who shows up on his doorstep and pretty much says that she is his biological daughter. She is 12. Also, not a spoiler, you find that out on the back of the book and the first chapter, so very quick. And that's pretty much what we're at right now. They're settling into Rose Hill, all of them together, and you can already tell that there's like kind of a vibe between the three of them. I'm assuming they're gonna become like a cute little family. I hope they will, because that is what I'm looking for in this book. That is what I love in a book. And yeah, all in all, good vibes. Ford is definitely giving me like good main male character energy. He's kind of grumpy, but has like a soft spot for the people he cares about. And that is the type of book boy that I will swoon over. So yeah, not much else to say besides good vibes so far. And I will continue to read this. I am starving, so I'm gonna go make myself some dinner and then check back in with you guys when I have more to say. Actually, another thing I forgot to say is that I'm loving like not only the vibe of this book, but like the vibe in the book, the town that they're in, and like the farm and the ranches. It just seems so beautiful and scenic. And they are in Canada, but it's giving me like Montana, like Yellowstone vibes. And I just like want to go and be in the open air and like the mountains. I don't know, just the way that Elsie Silver is describing things, like it's very good descriptions. Like it's also seeming like summer is right around the corner. There's a lake, there's all these cute coffee shops and restaurants, and like, I don't know, I just want to like take a trip to Montana for a week, you know? That is what this book is making me want to do. And it's really good stuff. Like that is one of my favorite things so far. I feel like she's doing really good descriptions. I was just about to come on and say that I'm not like super duper into this book. Like not enjoying it. I definitely am enjoying it, but I'm kind of bored's not the word, but I'm not in like the biggest reading mood, and it hasn't like fully hooked me. I keep picking my phone and I'm like a little distracted. It's not necessarily making me like super want to read. That's what I was gonna come on and say. But then I just read like 20 more pages and now I'm kind of being like reeled back in. So I don't know. Either way, I'm still not in the biggest reading mood, and it's pretty late now. It's like almost 9 o'clock, so I'm probably gonna be done for the night. I made it to page 204. I feel like this is definitely like a sexier, spicier, flirtier romance than Just for the Summer. That is probably like the biggest difference. I know like there's no real need to compare them, but because I'm reading two romance releases back to back, it's like I kind of am doing it subconsciously. This is definitely more like flirty, like I said, and like hinting at like tension, like innuendos. Is that the word? And I feel like there's a lot of one-liners in here that make me like, oh, like, you know, and that didn't really happen in Abby Jimenez's book. Hers is way more, I don't know, not as like giddy, heart racing feeling, which there's definitely a lot of those moments in this book, like a lot of one-liners that Ford says. And I'm like, damn. So I'm liking that. And then I would say that my favorite part is the moments when the three of them are together. It is Ford, Rosie, and then Ford's daughter, Cora. I love the moments when the three of them are together, and I find myself like waiting for chapters with them together, which is no surprise because I love kids in books and kids in like a romance story. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go to bed soon. This is pretty good so far, and I think I will do a bunch of reading tomorrow morning. That is my plan at least, so we'll see if I get up to that. So I have pretty much exactly 100 pages left of this book. I've been reading all morning, probably for like 2 hours, and I don't have too much to say. So I think I'm just gonna save all of my thoughts for when I'm done, which should be pretty soon. Like I feel like within the next hour and a half, I'll be done with this book. Then I can share my thoughts. Yeah, I don't know why I don't have any thoughts. I think it's just like, it's just doing the same thing it's been doing. Like, I don't know, nothing crazy. I'm just gonna go finish this. Okay, so I just finished Wild Love by Elsie Silver, and I wanna say that I loved it, but unfortunately I just didn't. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And so that means that my rating is probably gonna fall somewhere in the 3s. I would say it's gonna be like a 3.5 or a 3.75. I haven't officially decided yet, but for me to rate a book 4 stars, I have to like wholeheartedly be able to say that I loved it, and that's just not the case for this book, unfortunately. I did really wanna love it, but I kind of just came away with the same feeling I had with a bunch of the books in the Chestnut Springs series, where it's like, it was fine. I did think that this was better than the last 3 in the Chestnut Springs. Like, I loved Heartless and Flawless, and then I was like, meh on, what are the rest of them? Powerless, Reckless, and Hopeless. This one I would say I'm landing like in between those 2 groups. So I did enjoy this thoroughly. I thought it was fun and sexy and funny and cute. And I read it pretty fast, but I think that's just because it's easy to read. Like, you can get through it fast. It's big words. It's easy to digest. Like, it is fun, but I was never like loving it and reading it fast. Like, I wasn't reading it fast because I desperately wanted to know what happened. I was just reading it fast because it was easy to read. But like, I never got that feeling where I was like, oh my God, I love this book. I was waiting to get it. I was hoping that I got it and that it would like turn my rating up a notch, but it just never did. I think my main issue is that I didn't connect to the characters or their love story. Like, I thought it was cute, but I didn't like, it didn't wow me or anything. That's kind of what I feel like in all of the books, like I've said. I did like note a couple things that I liked. So I did like the way that the main character Ford like really had the female main character Rosie's back the entire time. Like, he really stood up for her and was like in her corner the entire time and like really loved her and just kind of like put himself out there for her, or like just treated her in a way that she wasn't treated by other people in her life. I feel like it was what she needed and it's what she got from him. So I did like that. I also like their love language in this was definitely bickering. It was kind of like they acted like they hated each other, but they secretly loved each other the whole time. And that's just kind of their like shtick from childhood all the way to adulthood to now when they're starting to fall in love. And that was kind of fun, but it also kind of led into a trope throughout almost the entire middle of the book, or like theme, that I didn't particularly enjoy. I'm not gonna say exactly what it was because that would kind of be a spoiler, but it's just one that I'm like, ugh, whenever I read it. So that kind of made me be like a little turned off. But overall, like I said, it was a good book. It was solid. It was fun. It was fine. Nothing crazy. It probably won't stick out to me a few weeks or a few months from now, but I am glad that I read it, and I probably will continue to read the books in this series because they're just like a light, fun, easy, good time. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Wild Love. I kind of don't have much to say. Like, the entire time I was reading like the second half of this book, I was like, oh, I should go on and say something. But like, I had no thoughts. It was just like a book. Like, nothing was like, oh, I want to talk about that. Oh, that's important. Like, you know? So that also is another sign that it's like not the best book in my opinion, or the best book for me. Like, I didn't love it that much. I didn't connect to it that much. I don't have that many thoughts on it. Okay, so that wraps up this video for part 1 of reading new April releases. I read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez and I read Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I definitely enjoyed Abby Jimenez's Just for the Summer more. I would say that it is like a more deeper rom-com with more substance to it than this. This is definitely on like the sexier side. Both are good, but they're a little bit different. I would say if you have more of my taste, you want a bit more depth and emotion, go for this one. But yeah, I enjoyed both of them. I liked reading both of them, and I cannot wait to read the other new releases this month, which will be Funny Story by Emily Henry and Taming Seven by Chloe Walsh, and I will probably be reading those within the next couple of weeks, so be on the lookout for that on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe for more bookish content, and I'll see you in the next one.